What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the older Spydercos in my collection. This is the Spyderco Chubby. So the Spyderco Chubby is no longer in production, so they're a little bit harder to come by. You can still find them on the secondary market, paying a little bit extra for them. They're not ridiculous, but they are a little bit more expensive than they were originally. And what you've got here is, it's a very compact knife, and it's called a Chubby, so it's a chubby knife. That's it. It pays really good homage to its name. What you've got here is kind of a drop point, maybe a spear point blade with a prominent swedge up top of S30V steel. It's about 2¼ inches, a little more than a 3¼ than 2¼ maybe, just a little over 2¼ inches. What you got on the show side is these 3 inlays of carbon fiber. It is a titanium frame lock, which Spyderco doesn't do many of those anymore. You know, this is kind of from the era of the Domino, of the original Schlichbuoy, those kinds of things. What you got is this really fat pocket clip of bent pocket clip. You do not have a lock bar insert. It is just carbonized titanium. And this mark is from Burchtree Designs. It's a custom knife maker that designed this knife for Spyderco. So it's a very interesting design. I really like the aesthetics of this knife, and that's kind of why I got it. But let me give you some size comparisons, because this is kind of a smaller knife. So that is the Para 3 right there. So you can see the Para 3, which is the smaller of the paramilitaries. It's a lot larger than this. That's what it looks like. So again, this is a very small knife in comparison. Let me show you against the bug outs. That is the full size bug out, and that is the mini bug out. So the mini bug out, it's even the mini bug out is longer than the Chubby. So just that gives you a fairly good idea of what we're looking at here. So let me get started with kind of the review of the knife. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is ergonomics. And for me, I wear large gloves, and for me, this kind of a 3-finger knife with my pinky just kind of resting on this curved part back here. Now in that position, in a saber grip or a hammer grip, it feels fairly comfortable. I think the ergonomics are very good in this grip. You don't feel the pocket clip. The pocket clip is fairly low. It's wide. There's no, even the point, you don't really feel it, or at least I don't. So the ergonomics are fairly decent. If you change grips to anything else, they kind of go away. You can't really grab onto this knife in any other position other than kind of a saber grip. You can do kind of a, putting your finger over the top of the blade if you wanted to just kind of do shallow cuts or utility cuts. If you wanted to do that, I think that you could do that with this knife. So ergonomics are decent. For a small knife, are decent in the saber and hammer positions. Every other cutting position of your hand, probably not. So speaking of cutting, cutting is okay. It's a thick blade stock. Let me see if I can give you a comparison of the blade. So it is a thicker blade stock than what you get on the Para 2 and the Para 3. So it's fairly thick, and even though it's got kind of a tall blade, you really don't get a grind until about halfway through the blade. So it's a thicker blade, and you get this hollow grind, and hopefully the hollow is coming across. So it's both hollow. The spear point and the primary bevel are hollow ground. So it doesn't come down. It comes down to an okay edge, but it gets really thick really quickly. So this is more of a stabby type of knife, more than, it's got a lot of belly. So I'm guessing it'll be good for kind of skinning or those kinds of things. I don't do much of that in my daily tasks. So this so for me, cutting is just okay. I've said many times, for what I use a knife, I don't have a big use for a knife in my daily life. I like having one, carrying them and collecting them. But for the task that I do use them, this knife does not excel. I think this is more of a secondary blade for somebody, to just carry around in case you need something. But I wouldn't take this knife to do a lot of cutting if you need to do a lot of cutting tasks. The action, man, the action is kind of weird. So I've seen people that can spidey flick this. I cannot spidey flick this to save my life. Oh, well, that's the first time I've ever been able to spidey flick this knife. My hand's a little bit too big, and my index finger tends to get in the way of the blade deploying. So that's what always happens. So for me, it's more of a slow roll out, and I don't enjoy the slow roll out, and I can't shake it closed. It's very tight. The lock bar pressure is super strong on this one. It rides on phosphor bronze washers. I've tried to tune it. I took it apart. I polished the phosphor bronze washers, but still I can't really deploy it reliably with a spidey flick. I can't. It feels kind of like a very, very tight and not a smooth Chris Reeve knife is kind of what it feels like. It does feel decently smooth, not reaching Chris Reeve levels, and I can't deploy it using the spidey flick. I can't. It doesn't drop shut. It doesn't even shake shut. Like you see me. I mean, it takes a significant amount of force to kind of shake it shut. So the action is, in my opinion, really, really bad on this one. And furthermore, so you have to push with a fair amount of strength the lock bar in this direction to get it to disengage. But the inside face of the lock bar is super sharp. It's like a 90-degree, so it's not comfortable to disengage. So if you're looking for something that is fidgety, something that that you're going to be playing with all day, this is far from it. This is one of the worst actions of any knife in my collection. I don't enjoy the action at all. I've had it for maybe 3-4 months now. I don't use it often because it has really bad action, and I do like to fidget with my knives. But even in the time that I've used it, I haven't felt that this action is going to get any better. So I'm going to give it some more time, but then maybe I have to decide if I'm just going to keep it just to keep it in my collection, or if I'm going to just release it and get rid of it. Now, fit and finish. So like I said, the Spydercos that come from their Taichung, Taiwan factory is some of the best fit and finish, and this one is pretty good, but it's got a couple of things that I really don't like. One is the action. I think the lid lock bar tension is way too strong. As you can see, it's probably a 50% engagement on the lock. It's very hard, and they should have chamfered the inside face of the lock bar so you can disengage it without any pain. So that's I think that they should have do a little cutout of kind of chamfering the inside corner of that. The bent clip, it sucks. And let me see if I can capture this. Let me see. Hopefully this comes across. Do you see the gap between the scale and the Para 3 and the scale and the pocket clip on this? The pocket clip is a bent pocket clip, but it is so incredibly shallow that it's hard. Like if you have, like where the fabric folds on your pocket of your jeans, if you've got jeans on, it's a struggle to get it over the ramp and into here because it is so darn tight. This is missing some space underneath that pocket clip. This pocket clip is really, really bad. It's atrocious. In fact, I don't think it's particularly attractive pocket clip. So I think that with the pocket clip, it's really got nothing going for it. I do like the grind on the blade. I think that's really well done. I always like, to see the grind lines I think it's really attractive. I think that the hollow grind is really well done, and I really like the design. But airing of grievances, I think that, you know, the pocket clip, the lock bar access, I think I've talked about. The fact that the action is so bad, I think that the ergonomics I could live with, because, you know, when you're buying a small knife, and if you have to be cognizant of the size of your hand, right? You can't buy a knife this size and then complain about, you know, how it fits in your hand. It's like buying a mini bucket and complaining that the mini bucket's small. You really can't do that. So I think the ergonomics for this, you know, are pretty darn good for its size, and I think I would enjoy carrying it if the action had been just a little bit better. I really need to probably carry it more and see if it breaks in. But as it is, this knife is not one that I would recommend unless you really like the aesthetic of this knife. Like I said, it's hard to find, so it's going to cost you some. It's going to cost you some time and money to hunt it down and buy it. And in my opinion, it's not a pleasurable experience to use this knife, and that's a shame, because I think it's a beautiful knife in my opinion. I think, you know, for Spydercos that have really weird aesthetics, you know, if you look at this and that, I think this is a much more attractive design than this is. This kind of has all kinds of, it doesn't have lines that flow, in my opinion. This one does. But, you know, why can't we get this on that knife? You know, I think that the action is really bad. I think that the pocket clip is damn near unusable. I have to see, I haven't tried to see if it doesn't look like it. You see the screws, these ones are very close together, those are far apart, so the pocket clips for this are not going to work for that. So that's kind of a shame, because I'm not going to be able to, I mean, unless I put in a vise and rebend it myself, this is not going to get any better. So guys, usually I review knives that are in my collection, so for the most part you're going to find that a lot of my knife reviews are positive reviews. You know, for the most part, you know, the fact that I decided to spend my money tells you that I had already liked the knife. But in this case, this is kind of a little bit of buyer's remorse. I still think that it's a beautiful knife and it pictures really well, but it's not a great experience using the knife. You know, it's just, I wish that they had done that the using it would be better, that cutting was better, that carrying it was better, and that the action was better. So for all of those reasons, I can't recommend this to you unless you absolutely love the design. Like I said, I'm gonna give it some more time in my collection, and then we'll decide if it stays or if it goes. Well, guys, that'll do it for this one. If you enjoyed it, if you liked it, then like and subscribe, and until I see you at the next one, take care.